Hello and welcome to Spray Gunner's video channel, and today I'd like to explain the problem of bubbles in the paint cup, if you happen to have any. Most of you should be familiar with the technique called the blowback. It's when you're blocking the air out of the airbrush by the fingers, or using some special device like this cap from Badger or that one from Harden Stanbeck. So what happens is you're blocking the air on the way out, and because it comes with the pressure, it finds another way, which is the paint channel. So if you take a closer look at your airbrush head with a needle pulled back, that's something similar. You're gonna see this circle in the middle. This kind of black hole is where your paint comes from. This is a paint flow out of the nozzle, and the circle around it is your air flow. This is the air cap, nozzle in the middle, between them the small circle for air going out. I'm not sure who and why some long time ago called it internal mix airbrush, which is basically wrong because there's nothing mixed internally. As you can see, there's two different channels coming out of the airbrush and mixing outside the airbrush body. But anyway, we're gonna call it internal mix, and this is internal mix airbrush. So when you're blocking it with the cup, you're basically closing the airflow, and it goes to the paint flow because there's difference in the pressure. So air comes with the pressure from the compressor, and paint comes by itself. It's an atmospheric pressure, just by a gravity cup or something like that. So when it goes back, it really helps to clean airbrush. You know, you use this technique for mixing paints, for cleaning airbrush, really helpful. But when you don't want these bubbles to be there, but you're getting them, this becomes an issue. And the reason for these bubbles is still simple. Still the same, so the air gets in the way of paint. So this genius drawing representing the standard double action airbrush. As you can see, the needle is on the middle, the purple is a nozzle, and here's the paint. This is a paint channel, so when needle pulled back, nozzle opens and the paint goes out. And on the side, I have the both sides here, but most airbrush models going to use just one side. There's an air channel, and it exits same place where paint exits airbrush, so it's not mixed inside again. And the problem of the bubbles in the cup is when this air with the pressure finds another way in, except for this outage on the air cap. It could be here on the nozzle. I would say there's a free places to look for. If you have bubbles in the cup, 99.9% going to be one of the three. There could be some defect in the airbrush when, you know, the channel right here somewhere broken and it goes in, but I saw probably one of these airbrushes in my career, which is 10+ years. I would say you have one of the three, so the connection between nozzle and airbrush body. So this should be exactly sealed, no air goes in, no paint goes out, really good seal on there. It should be perfect seal between your needle and nozzle. So when your needle in a rest position, when you're not pulling it out, you should close your nozzle completely. There should not be any cracks in the nozzle. It should be the same round shape. You know, if you have the round needle going through an oval-shaped nozzle, it's going to be a problem. And the third is the position of your air cap, which is right here. As you can see here in the drawing, if you draw the line here, the nozzle is sticking out of the air cap, and that's exactly how it should work. So when you look at your airbrush, most of them are going to have the needle out of the nozzle. There's some models, most of them trigger nozzles when you have the same level of needle and nozzle, but every gravity feed airbrush can have the nozzle sticking out of the air cap, and that's how it should be, that's how it works. I have the biggest airbrush model I could find right here, and that's an old Iwata BE1, and it has an adjustable air cap, so it's going to help me to demonstrate exactly what I'm talking about. So if you take a closer look here and the head part, you can see the needle sticking out of the nozzle, and I pull it back. You can clearly see that nozzle is sticking out of the air cap. So when I plug it in and get some water, so right now I got pressure in and I got water, so you can see it working perfectly. I'm not sure you can see. If I put some black behind it, yeah, that helps. So perfectly working airbrush. And if I start moving this air cap towards nozzle, still working, still working. And that's at the point where it stops. So basically, if I go back a little bit, right now the nozzle is sticking out probably, I don't know, half a millimeter, but it's still working fine. But next step, the paint just disappears and it goes to the paint cup. So paint jar. And that's exactly my point. So if your air cap is not in a place like it should be, there could be some dirt or some dry paint on the threads or some other reason it's not on a place, you're gonna get these bubbles. I would first, if you have the bubbles in your paint cup, the first thing I would check is the air cap, because it's easier to fix. It could be it's not tight enough. You know, you need to tighten a little better, and the airbrush is back to work. The second one is a little more complicated. I have another airbrush here to demonstrate the second reason for bubbles in the paint cup, which is a hardened Steinbeck aluminum version of Infinity airbrush. And if you take a closer look at the air cap right here, you can see there's a nozzle sticking out of it, and it's tightened pretty good. I double check it, so shouldn't be any problems with the air cap, but I still have a lot of bubbles in the paint cup. And since it's not an air cap, I'll have to take apart this airbrush. Of course, I already know what's the reason for this particular one, but when you do it with yours, and it could be different airbrush manufacturer, just take a look at the nozzle tip. You can probably see it here even without any optics, but I'll put it, I have a picture of it. So the reason for the bubbles in this particular airbrush is this steep crack going down the nozzle, and because this crack is in there, and especially because it goes so deep, so it's below the level of the air cap, that's the reason why the air goes into the paint section. So take a closer look at your nozzle tip. It should be perfectly round shape, no dents, no scratches, no cracks, no any kind of deformation or damage. And reason this one happened, I'm not sure why exactly, but there could be 3 different reasons. One is simple because it was pushed too hard from behind when the needle was installed back in place. Second, it could be really aggressive paint, some kind of high abrasive when you use some metallic flake and stuff like that, so it goes through the nozzle really. Or it could be paint needle, which just goes on the side, and then either smashes right away, or when you pull the bent needle out, it kind of cuts it through. This is a really soft material used for the nozzles, because they need, since the needle is made from stainless steel and it's really hard, they need a soft material around it to prevent it, to make a good seal. Because when you take a stone and connect it to the stone, it's really hard to do this perfect connection between them. But if you take a piece of rubber and place it next to the stone, that's how you really seal it out. So this is the second reason. And if I put I had a new nozzle here somewhere. Yeah, here it is. If I put a different nozzle, you'll see the difference right away. So I'll connect it back and get some water in. Oh, still bubbles, probably not tight enough because my hand is wet. Yep, bubbles are gone. There's still 2 bubbles from the past, but there's no new bubbles coming in, and it sprays perfectly. Let me show in black. So no issues with this airbrush right now, just fix it. And going to the third reason, I'll need to pull out some more airbrushes just to show you difference between some different manufacturers, different types of the nozzle. Okay, so the third reason for the problem we're discussing today is the connection between the nozzle and airbrush body. So I have 5 different models here with, I would say, 3 different nozzle types. 2 of the thread type, bigger one, and the smaller. 2 of self-centering conus type. What happened to this one? Yeah, it keeps on going somewhere. which used on Badger, on iWater Eclipse, and some other airbrushes you can find them. And the one I already showed you, it's a patented nozzle by Harden Standback, which is also self-centering, but it has a little the PTFE, what they call the Teflon seal right here, which is good because you can change it. And when you get some cuts on it, you get some dirt on it or something else, when it's not sealed completely good to the airbrush body inside, I'm going to show you there should be like a flat surface going against. I'm not sure if you can see it there, but yeah, you can see it here. You see this flat surface ring right there, so it should be perfectly sitting on it and tight and good with air cup. That's actually a good point, because there's another reason why your air cup should be tight and good on this airbrush, is because air cup actually holds the nozzle in place, so it really pushes against the body of the airbrush, so you don't have any air comes under this seal. On the thread type nozzles, you don't have to worry that much about if your air cup is a little loosened, but the nozzle still be beyond the point of the air cup. That's fine. I mean, you don't have to worry about it. So on this on this type of nozzles, be careful with this seal right here. Don't scratch it. Don't get any damage. Especially don't scratch the inside surface. If you get a scratch in there, the air can follow it and get in your air cup. If you do have a problem of bubbles in the paint cup and you checked everything except for this connection, on a hardened steaming airbrush, pretty easy. If you never done it before, you can just take this seal off and put it upside down. Yeah, taking it off and put it back upside down. So I have the fresh side now here, and if it's the first time you're doing, you can fix it right away without any change. You can buy a new set of seals, so I just save you like $7. If you've done it already, well, there's a seal set, 3 pieces. I think it's $6.60 on our website, which is pretty cheap. You can just buy them. It's much better than changing the whole nozzle, and it should work. So the next step is a Badger, and I have two. Where is my nozzle? I have 2 nozzles here. They use, as far as I know, all Badger airbrushes come with self-centering nozzles, and they use this Conus type, which are fully metal. There's no seal, as you can see, and basically the same stuff, but it's much more problematic if you have a scratch in here. Be careful with this bottom surface right there, and the same thing on the smaller one. Don't get any scratches when you clean airbrush. That's why Badger they don't recommend using the cleaning brushes, because they have the metal wire inside. And if you scratch it with this metal wire, either one of these nozzles, or you can scratch the inside surface as well, you'll get in a lot of trouble, especially if you scratch the inside surface, because the nozzle you can just replace it, it's pretty cheap. But if you scratch inside there, the surface where the nozzle actually goes, that's your places you in trouble. So if you can see these 2 surfaces going together, and the same thing, it holds down. In this particular model, you're basically using different part, which is, you can see the nozzle stuck in there. So on the Badger models, you have this separate part called hold down ring. On the Chrome, it's going to be the same thing. So this is middle part that holds your nozzle in place. So tighten it good on place, which presses the nozzle against the airbrush body, and it holds good. And this is the air regulator, or so I call it air cap, goes on top of it. On some airbrushes like this Chameleon right here and some other, air cap is actually your hold down ring. So it's two-in-one solution. If you look inside there, you can see there's like the side walls is not straight. They made it an Conus, so the presses against this surface right there, not against the tiny nozzle. So when you press it down, the air comes around it, but you have the 3 sides there which are pressing your nozzle against the airbrush body. So that's how the self-centering nozzle is working. If you happen to have one of the airbrushes from Iwata or Sparmax or some other guys, actually most of the Chinese airbrush is gonna come with a thread type nozzle. So when you have when you can screw it in, this bigger one, actually not from Iwata, but this Iwata comes with a bigger type. This is from Persia, I think it's from Talon, and the other one is Jisai Krios. A Japanese airbrush, small and big, as you can see, same principle. So on the small ones, this is my really not favorite. They are on the bottom of the list because it's really hard to deal with them when you clean airbrush, taking them out. It's really easy to break it apart, leaves the threads inside of the airbrush body, which is not a problem. You can fix it. We have the tools to fix it, but it's not something. It could be pretty expensive even for somebody with experience to break this nozzle, especially on something like Iwata Macron, where the nozzle could cost around $60. So be careful with them, and most of the airbrush come without any seals right here. On some models, like some Sparmax and most of the Chinese airbrush, you'll see the little seal around it. That's the problem. The seal is a problem because it's gonna wear, it's gonna be damaged by any kind of solvent you use with it, or when you clean it and install it back, too many times, the seal is gonna be gone pretty soon. So most of this airbrush should work without any seal. Some people use, and actually the Japanese ones comes from factory visit, some like a thread sealant for it. Not the one which goes really hard, but the one that stays liquid. You just put it on it and use it like that, but not necessary. But if you have this kind of airbrush, just look for the threads. If you're in dry paint, something that keeps it of not screwing all the way in. Actually, let me show this again. So on this particular nozzle, this inner surface is what really seals the air, the paint and the air, of course, separates air from the paint inside the airbrush. So this surface should go all the way in and connect to the airbrush body, and that's how you seal it really good. Well, this is it. Thank you for watching. I hope it was helpful, and subscribe for more videos. Thank you very much. Have a good day.